and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. This time I'm here with set 75292, the Razor Crest, recently changed in Europe to the name the Mandalorian Bounty Hunter Transport. This set was released on September 1st, 2020, has 1,023 pieces, is rated ages 10 plus and comes with 5 minifigs. Now the 5 minifigs you can see here are the Child, the Mandalorian, Grief Karga, IG-11 and a Scout Trooper. Now I will say that the Mandalorian could have been done a little better by getting him into his Beskar armour there, but at the time I think the designers didn't actually know much about where he was going to be, so they kind of designed with what they had, and also they already had a print for Mandalorian, so I doubt they actually wanted to change it for that reason maybe as well. The Razor Crest was a gunship that was once used as a military patrol craft before the Empire, but is now in the possession of Din Djarin, aka the Mandalorian. We see the ship in action during the series The Mandalorian, but besides this there is not much info on the ship. You may be interested in the fact, however, that the ship was built for the show as a practical model, not done as CGI. This set was originally labelled the Razor Crest worldwide, and it has had its name changed recently for European sale to the long-winded The Mandalorian Bounty Hunter Transport. And this is because a German company who produced LEGO-compatible sets got the Razor Crest name before LEGO did. Because Lucasfilm didn't actually own the copyright on the name Razor Crest, the German company claimed it for their own unlicensed version of the spacecraft. Now originally this was only a problem in Europe, but there has been whispers and kind of around the community of it actually changing to worldwide they have to change the name. But the sets originally were all produced with the Razor Crest name, and this kind of problem only arose late into the kind of sales aspect of it, which is why you can see Razor Crest on my box, and it is a European box. Now I'll give you a look at the kind of the sides of the box as well, because you know some people do like that information. You can see a little bit of the artwork on the bottom there, which is kind of interesting, and otherwise pretty standard enough kind of stuff on the rest of the box. Now one of the main reasons for people buying this box is actually the Child. Now don't get me wrong, the ship is actually a great build, and I've seen great reviews myself on it, which is a good selling point, because obviously not a lot of people are going to buy it just for the ship, but it is a very nice set. Now I will say that this box up in the corner says play it in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Find the secret code to unlock this ship. So we can unlock the ship with the code that comes in the instruction books. Now this box does actually come with all of the Summer 2020 Wave sets, but this part of it doesn't come with all of them. This part was actually only on this box so far I've seen, and the Death Star Final Duel. Now I haven't bought the Resistance Transport that was out in this wave, or the Night Buzzard that was out in this wave either. But so far, those are the only two sets that I have seen to have them. This and the Final Duel. Now on the back of the box we can see a few things here. We can see spring-loaded shooters here and the storage for them. And we can also see Din Djarin in his bed here, which seems to be a panel opening up from the other side. One of the panels on the top opening, and the cockpit also has a hatch here to show guns, to store guns, and of course it has the front cockpit, and you can see the walls open up here. You can take out the Carbonite figure prints, which is interesting to see there. It seems to be held on by Technic, so it looks like it's going to be a strong build. And of course you can see all the figures in action. Now we'll give you a little bit of close-up of all of this, because it is kind of good to see it closer up than further away. So we'll just give you a little close-up of all that. Like, it seems to be a good set just from looking at the outside of the box, which is great, because this, a lot of the time it is how I judge my purchase, is by the back of the box. So like I'd see a good set that I like, and I'd take a look at the back of the box and see what it can do. So I suppose now we can get on to the review. So starting off with the overview here, you can see it comes with 5 minifigures. 4 of them come with weapons, and one of them is a child, so it doesn't get weapons. Although, you know, you could argue that the Force is his weapon. It also comes with a detachable cockpit piece, as per usual with the starships. It also comes with 2 spring-loaded shooters and 1 spare. And also it comes with, I'm assuming, an escape pod, which kind of, opens and closes. We'll get to all of that functionality in a minute. And it also comes with 2 bounties that are frozen in Carbonite. I got 1 sticker perfect and 1 sticker slightly off, which is another bad point for the whole stickers idea of things. The whole bottom side of it opens up entirely, so you kind of make this part and this part, and then everything else is just a wall that kind of flips down. So this wall on the other side as well closes. This wall here, this is a separate kind of piece here, so when everything else is closed, this is like a door. And yes, all of those kind of open up there, and you'll see if those little tan tiles at the back is where you store those little Carbonite figures. This piece behind the cockpit opens and closes, so you can store the Mandalorian's weapon in there for whenever he's flying. And otherwise, that is pretty much it for what comes with the set. So we'll get on now to the minifigs, and I'll give a little bit of a description of the Carbonite frozen minifigs as well. Just, a quick kind of briefing on them, because they're not real minifigs. I'll just, go through them quickly. So we can start off with the child. So starting off with the child, we can see here that they use a rubber kind of headpiece kind of for the top, kind of like the old Yodas that they used to do, which is a nice addition there, because there's a nice feel to it, and you can kind of get a better kind of detail on it, I suppose, and it kind of feels a bit more realistic than just plain plastic. Now he does fit on a 1x1 stud, not just a singular stud. He doesn't fit on the 2 that the normal minifigures come on. We can see that the body here is literally one piece, and it does not move. The arms here do not move at all. The hands don't come out. Nothing moves on it. It's one solid brick. Now on the printing side of things, we can see that they did a nice enough job for what they had. They had a very small kind of area to print on, and for that we can see that they've done a good job in the sense that they've gotten that kind of collar piece there, and they've also gotten just to get the kind of the color right, and a few other lines in there to make it look like fabric. Now there's nothing on the back, but yeah, I think it's a really nice little minifigure. It's again, it's an awful lot of the pull for people to buy this set is this little minifigure alone. But again, there's not an awful lot I can say about this because it is so small, but it's pretty perfect for what they can do, to be honest. Nothing fits in his hands, as his hands don't move or aren't really the same size as any of the other minifigures' hands. And his legs don't move, of course. As I said, he is one solid piece apart from the head and body are 2 separate pieces that connect together. Otherwise, I'm really delighted with this minifigure. I think it's a very nice addition to the set, and it's a very nice addition to LEGO's general inventory of figures. I suppose now we can move on to the Mandalorian. Next up we have Mandalorian in his original armor that we see in episode 1 or 2. Not fully Beskar, but again, they didn't really have the time or knowledge when they were making this figure to make him in full Beskar. He comes with his rifle there, which is 3 pieces connected together, which is a nice kind of addition. It makes it look a bit more realistic. And yeah, I suppose we can get on. So the print on the torso is nice. Like, I think we've seen this before in the AT-ST Walker, or correct me if I'm wrong, AT-RT Walker. I'm not really sure which one's which, because all of them are AT something and it just gets confusing after a while. But yeah, a very nice torso print there. You can see the belt straps going along there to imitate the obviously ammo belt he has there, and the different kind of attachments he has. I will say it's a very nice addition. You can see there that the back print is done well as well. Again, not really much to say about it. You can see his armor is kind of scuffed up there a little bit, which is nice to see. Kind of a bit more detail in there, and his kind of shins there are different colors and beat up at the same time, making it truly look like the kind of thrown together makeshift kind of armor he has at the start. Hopefully we get to see a Beskar armor Mandalorian soon enough, because I am really a fan of the kind of bright color here, dark color there, and brown, and I'm just not really a fan of the whole kind of color scheme with this minifig, as I said. But yeah, we can get on to the cape now. It's not like the same as the one in Final Duel this year. It's a little bit stiffer. It's kind of like a lighter version of the Mandalorian Battle Pack that came out this year, and is a kind of mix between the plasticky feeling ones and the cotton feeling ones. It is actually kind of hard to put your finger on, really. The helmet, as you can see, is the Beskar, but I hope when they do a full Beskar armor that is a little bit brighter, because it is actually completely shiny and like silver chrome in the show, and this is kind of a darker kind of grey, which I'm not really a fan of. You can see there's a little bit of a shine to it, but not much, and not as much as there would be if it was full silver. Now under the mask here you have nothing. You have a plain black head, because as I said earlier, for the point about them not making it fully Beskar, they probably didn't have the information at the time to do any face print, because they didn't know what he looks like. So I would assume that that would be the reason for this figure looking like he is. Although it is a very nice minifigure, it would have been nicer to get one a little bit more accurate to later on in the series. But again, it's not going to bring the set down too much, because it is a very nice addition to the set. The instruction book tells you to put the cape on straight, but to be honest, I think his cape is more to the side, like most Mandalorians, so that's why I put it on kind of to the side. I wouldn't really be that gone on this minifigure, because I feel like the colour pattern is just a little bit strange. Moving on now to Grief Karga. You can see that he comes with a kind of angry enough little face and his two little pistols. I will say that it's a nice torso print again. Not an awful lot to say on this minifigure either, because it is kind of, it's accurate, but it's not really, you know, that crazy. You can see there's a little bit of texture done there, which is nice to see. It is really interesting to see them actually going that extra mile again. You can't really see it from there, because it's actually, it doesn't really seem to be a print. It seems to be more of a texture. And you can see then going down, then he has his belt there, which is interesting. It's nice that they've printed that on there. You can see that there's a little bit of his cape, kind of, I won't say cape, kind of maybe a poncho kind of looking thing that he does wear sometimes, is covering most of his back, and you can see it coming around the front there here as well. No leg printing. Nice colour for the arms, nice contrast between the red and the orange. You can see that he comes with a little angry face on him there, and his hairpiece. I like his hairpiece, I do. I think it's a nice hairpiece. I haven't seen this one before, but like that's not saying it's new or exclusive or anything. But yeah, again, you can see his angry face there. And his second print for the back of his head is a kind of happy print. A kind of like a well done print, you know, which is nice to see there as well. Nice figure, nice detail in the print, nice texture in there. But not an awful lot to say on this minifigure, so we can move swiftly on ahead to IG-11. Now this is one of the figures I was greatly anticipating. I was thinking it was going to be one of my favourite figures of this year's lineup, and to be honest, I was kind of disappointed whenever it came in hand. He comes with his two blasters, as you can see, one small blaster and one long blaster, and the long blaster is actually supposed to go on his back here. Whichever way you kind of want it to. I kind of, you know, push it down as much as I can or anything like that, you know. But yeah, again, I was kind of disappointed by this figure. We'll get on to the body first, and then we'll get on to like the disappointing parts. So the body is a general standard enough droid body. It's the same as all the other droids, except it's a different color. It's in the kind of dark kind of gray you see here. Going on to his back then, you can see that there is a stud on his back like most other droids, but this time they give him a little backpack. Now, I don't like the fact that they do this, because it just kind of looks a little bit bulky. It goes out way too much, I think. Maybe if you took off that stud in the middle, it might look a bit better, but also that might interrupt this little clip up here. As you can see, it kind of jots out a little bit there. But that's just one of the things I don't like about it, is it makes him look very bulky, and he's not supposed to look bulky for the kind of droid that he is. Of course, he comes with his two different arms, one arm like that, and one arm that can hold the gun in the proper orientation. And another thing that I really don't like about it is the build for the head. This, I think, is just way too big, and it's left completely open on the top there. I know if you added another stud in there, it wouldn't make sense, and it'd make it even bigger again. but it's a bit strange to me how it's just left completely and utterly open there, and I just don't really like that. The print on the face, however, is nice, but it's supposed to be 360. There's a few things about this. I think the head is definitely way too long. It should have been closed off there at the top. The print should be the whole way around this little piece here, and it just, to be honest, he just looks a bit clunky compared to what he should look like. Trying to get him to stand up because of this backpack on his back is actually a difficult task. You have to kind of angle him in a certain way, and maybe not much to some people, it might not matter, but it's just the fact that you have to actually change it and make him stand in the wrong orientation. Same with the droids. Like, it looks like his kind of chest is poking out there. I'm not really sure if you can see it properly, but it does look like his chest is kind of poking out there a little bit. But otherwise it is a nice figure, but like I'm just very disappointed kind of in the head and the backpack there. Moving on now to the Scout Trooper. The Scout Trooper is unique to this set so far. We haven't seen this one in another set because the black arms on him, I think, is also kind of exclusive to the Mandalorian. Now you can see that it comes with his blaster there, just a single blaster. He doesn't come with a long blaster or a sniper or anything. He just comes with the pistol. And yeah, the print on him is quite nice. I think they've done the leg printing there, no foot printing or side leg printing, but I mean, it's kind of made up for because of the amount of detail that they've put onto this little figure. I mean, the lines are definitely present all over the armor there to make it look more realistic, and there's no scuffs on it, which is interesting. But again, I think I like that more than there being scuffs, because this is a very clean little minifig. It's definitely one of my favorite stormtroopers that have come out. It's just fantastic. Like, we'll look at the back print there, we can see a little bit of a backpack printed on there, and a little bit of the belt. Also, in between the armor is a little bit printed there as well, to kind of prove that it's a little kind of more fabric in there. You can see more pouches on the front here, and the belt going along. You can see the shin guards there. It's just a very, very well done minifigure. And you can see little bits of black up here to kind of outline the armor, and where the armor kind of cuts off there a little bit to show the black underneath of his suit. And here is where we really get into it. This helmet is just beautiful. We can see there that instead of just going with a black down the full way, they've actually printed in a little bit more detail in there, which is amazing to see. They put a little bit on the nose there and just above the eyes, just extra little bits there everywhere, little dots there, and you can see the black there. Instead of them just having it white, they actually went into it. You can see the lines on the back of the head there are accurate. Also, these two black kind of squares up there, and again the same kind of print on the side, bar this, which is an addition to the other side there. It's just really nice to see them going the extra mile. Nothing on the top there, but it's just a fantastic little helmet. I think it's definitely one of my favorite helmets, and I probably will look for more on Bricklink just of this character, because I really am in love with it. Now you can see that inside the helmet there is two different pieces. So there's a black piece that goes inside the white piece, and then that's all kind of molded together, which is really interesting to see there, which is kind of, I'm assuming, what kind of these black bits are here, and possibly that. It's just very interesting again to see there. They've also done something like this with Zori Bliss, who came out in the Resistance Y-Wing and the Resistance Y-Wing Microfighter. And I just really thought that was an interesting technique back then, and I still think it is now. Now, he only gets one face print, but the interesting thing about this is it's not the same face print as any of the ones in the AT-AT Walker that came out this year, which means that all of the Stormtroopers that they're releasing seem to be completely different faces, which is fantastic to see, because they finally, taken into account that they're not all clone troopers, and they are actually different people who are hired or, taken into slavery essentially and forced to work for the Empire, but they're all different people, which is just, again, great to see there. This is definitely one of my favourite minifigs, and I didn't expect it to be. I thought it'd just be, oh, there's another Scout Trooper, but I just think it's an amazing figure. I really do. I think it's one of the best figures in this set. I might think that about Mandalorian if I didn't have the figure already, but again, this definitely just takes the cake. I would reckon this, then Baby Yoda, then the Mandalorian, then IG-11, and then Griff Karga, because Griff Karga isn't really, there's the main thing about Griff Karga is there's torso print on him, but this guy is just stunning, especially in hand compared to just seeing him on the box. Definitely a great addition to the set. Now, as I said, I was just going to touch on these little Carbonite figures in the minifigure run out, because I think, you know, it's kind of fitting. They are kind of still minifigures at the end of the day, but they've just been frozen in Carbonite. You know, Han Solo was still a person when he was frozen in Carbonite, so these guys, you know, they still count. Now I've got this sticker perfect, so I'll show this one first and then I'll kind of brush on the next one. There is very nice printing on this sticker, I think. It's not printed brick, unfortunately, and I think it could be, and even better again if it was molded to kind of be a little bit kind of, you know, 3D a little bit. That would have been absolutely great. But one thing I will say is they don't have a vent on the top. They have a plain, like, brick there, a plain tile. But again, you can see that the kind of hair is well done there. You can see a little bit of the stubble. You can see a little bit of his shirt there, and one of his legs is coming out a little bit more because the other one is obviously stuck in there. And you can see the face that everyone seems to make, just that kind of face that they get frozen with. And you can see a little bit of the lines there to make it look a little bit more 3D. But yeah, you can see controls there on the top as well, which is interesting to see there. Next up then, you've got this other species, which is, you can see the controls up here are the exact same, and the generalization around here is pretty much the same, apart from the fact the minifigure inside is a little different. Now, he's a little different species. I kind of, part of me wants to believe that he's the guy that was frozen at the start in episode 1, when, you know, he goes snooping. I think it kind of looks like him, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but, you know, again, it's nice to see this little kind of the detail on the face there, and the detail on the torso, and also one of the legs coming out more. Again, same kind of story as the last guy. Again, a lovely little addition to the set. Again, it shouldn't really be stickers, because that just kind of, as you can see here, it's kind of off a little bit, and it goes out more there. And, you know, it was my 5th or 6th attempt to get this right, so I wasn't really going to try all that hard. But yeah, I'm happy again with the sticker, but not happy with the fact it's the sticker. A nice addition to the playset, because again, it makes it look more realistic. But I suppose now we can just move on to the smaller build and work our way onto the bigger one. So, getting on to the builds, starting off with what I'm assuming is an escape pod. But you see, the thing is I'm worried about is, I've seen the Mandalorian hop into his ship from the top, and this looks like the hole he hops into from the top, you know. So it's kind of, it could be either or. Now, it does look like a spaceship, or escape pod, sorry, because you kind of open up this and the character stands on those two sleeper tiles up this way, kind of lies down in the thing, and then you put this over whenever he's in there nice and snug, and you can see his face shooting out there. Also, these things look like, you know, little kind of jets that when you're in space you kind of push it left or right and up and down, and, you know, kind of decide where you want to go with them. But I will say it's a nice little build, because it's sturdy. The way you just put your finger in here, kind of hook it a little bit, and then you can take the whole thing off with ease, and nothing else is coming off with it or anything else breaking, which is really nice addition there. That's a nice technique how they've done that. And again, it is just a nice little sturdy, it's a nice looking, a nice feeling little build. I'll give you just an example, I suppose, of one of the characters going into it, just to show you that they do fit in nicely there. So we'll start off with Grief Karga. I'm not going to do any of the other ones because you're going to have to take off the cape for Mandalorian. So yeah, you can see, again, as I said, his little face poking out there. He doesn't really look happy that he has to evacuate, but sure, look, that's kind of a him problem at the moment. And then, you know, pops out of the ship, goes flying away. Great for playability, great for swooshability, because, you know, it's light and it kind of holds very well. It feels nice to hold, like this shape of it is just Nice. Also you can see the back there, a little bit of a vent there. The design on it is really nice, I think, because, you know, I love this kind of rigid part, and these vents, I just think they're one of my favorite pieces in Lego, so they kind of got me on that one. So then you pretty much just do that again, or if you want, you can push forward kind of and up on the vent here to kind of slot it out there if you can't get your finger in there whenever the character is in there. And it comes out easy enough as well. You know, it's an easy thing to work with. It's not really that complicated. And it's, again, a nice addition to the set, but it's kind of all I can say about it, really. I can show you now that it fits into the top while getting on to the Razor Crest. Now, as I said, you can kind of slot this in nicely in there. You can see there's a little red sleeper tile square in there, and you can slot that in. It literally just slots onto that, and if you want to turn it upside down, give it a bit of a shake, it doesn't really come off, you know, which is nice because it comes out with ease, and, you know, you can slot it in there. It looks very smooth there when it is eventually put in there. But yeah, I suppose that leads us on to the main build, the Mandalorian Razor Crest. Now, starting at the front, the Razor Crest holds a few functionalities, and they're very welcome. All of these functionalities are definitely very welcome. First off, you can see that this little hook here, you can use to open up the cockpit and sit your figures inside there. It has space for two, which is very accurate because the ship itself has a space for one pilot and one passenger. And you can see that there is a printed tile there for the control panel, which is nice to see coming back. This bit opens up, and you can see that there's two little clips there for Din Djarin's gun. I suppose I can give you a little once over about how all of that works. So the Mandalorian will fit in here nicely. His cape does kind of hit the ground. You kind of have to angle him. If you don't want to ruin the cape, you kind of have to angle him just sitting a little bit more forward. Also, the child will fit on one of these studs there. Kind of awkward for my fingers, but, you know, for a child it might be a bit easier, and you can see the two of them fit in there nicely. When they do, you can open up that, and you can place Din Djarin's blaster rifle in there, and it fits there nicely. It doesn't push this thing back up or anything, and of course you can close that up again and, you know, swoosh it around as you wish. You can fit someone in there as I described earlier, and then use that as the escape pod, and pretty much for the top, that's pretty much it, you know. These bits, when I was building, I thought they were a bit of a problem because they kept going into the set, but they are actually right behind the spring-loaded shooters. So if you want, I can give you that. You can push on them, and you can get your spring-loaded shooters out there, which is a nice little feature for playability, and definitely my favourite spring-loaded shooter mechanism to date, because I just love the feel of those vents there. They're actually very nice, and the kind of whole mechanism there is interesting to see. I'll pop them back in there now for the rest of the review. From the back here, you can see that there's a nice bit of detail just involved here. I can take this out and show you that it does kind of sink into the interior there. There is holes there, but I don't know, does that really matter for me? It's kind of, you can make your own mind up on that one there. Nothing to do with this tail here. There's nothing interesting really. It's just literally the tail itself, the build. And I suppose that really does it for the top of the set. Now we can move on to the sides and the walls. From the sides here, originally I thought that by the back of the box, that it was literally just this that opened up and this, and that was kind of it. The rest then was stationary, apart from maybe the sleeping quarters that the Mandalorian has. But no, he also has a door on this side as well, and push that down there. Also, this side opens up as well, and he has a door on the accurate side, and also this panel opens up. So to my surprise, the whole bottom of it opens up, and you can see straight through there. It really looks like a kind of carrier or a gunship there when you get into the thick of it. Now I will say you are tempted to hold it like that an awful lot, but this does come up, so be careful about that. Otherwise, you can kind of grab it at any other place you want to, and even then, if it does fall, maybe a few of the external parts will fall off, but as you can see, the Technic pieces here are kind of running through the whole set, keeping it together very well. And as I said in my build per bag video, I was pushing on the top of it to try and see if it kind of crumbled or anything, and it didn't. It was very sturdy. You can see here that I'm just going to get these spring-loaded shooters out again to prove a point here. You can fill up the side here with your torpedoes, so you can fit all three in there, and then you can close it up. But of course, if you do put all three in there, you have none for the actual spring-loaded shooters themselves, and I think that's a bit misleading, because they do show that this on the side of the packet is full of the three of them, so I thought it would come with 5. And to be honest, it's a little bit misleading. I will, however, be filling it up with my own spring-loaded shooters, because I do have spares here. But yeah, we can close that up now and just show you that it does look very nice there. It doesn't push out or anything because the shooters are in there. And again, I'll just give you another look as well at this, because that kind of does look nice. The door just opened like that. It is pretty accurate because he's kind of in that relation to the stands. But yeah, that is the door there, and you can see it closes up nicely. It kind of goes together smoothly enough, like as you kind of expect a little bit of kind of that with any Lego set. But yeah, it does look very well, to be honest, it really does. And we can slot our Carbonite figures in here. So there's nothing on the top that makes them go in or out, but there is a little tile at the back that stops them from going too far in, you know. And also they kind of slot in between all of these tan pieces there, which is nice to see. However, if you wanted to fly it with the things open, they will fall out, as you've seen there. But otherwise, you know, just, you know, be careful with it in that sense. Moving on, we can see that Din Djarin's bed is actually there. So I've actually not used him in this bed now, to be honest. So yeah, you can't really do it with the cape on, because as you can see there, the cape goes right in the middle there of his, the holes in the back of his legs. So you might have to take off his cape for that, which is a bit of a pain, because unlike the Death Star Final Duel, there's actually nowhere for you to put this minifig's cape. But we'll try it with a figure with no cape there. And it does look well, in fairness. If you wanted to take off the cape just to prove this point, you could definitely go ahead and do it, just to kind of, you know, display it in a certain way or something, whatever tickles your fancy. And again, we can close this up, and it doesn't push out or anything like that. I know that if you put a droid in the top of the AAT that came out recently, it does kind of push open the top hatch a little bit whenever he's in there, and it's not ideal. But this, it all does close up very smoothly when things are in them. And to be honest, I think that's all of the functionalities I can give you. Now, again, I'll just show you another kind of angle that this does open on this side as well. But I'm not sure, does he have a door on both sides of his Razor Crest? But, you know, it is what it is. It's still a nice addition to the set, and it closes up nicely there. You can open the back cargo thing on its own, and that kind of looks well. You can see through the whole ship there, and to be honest, I think that's one of my favorite angles for the set altogether. You can kind of push that guy back in there to see the Carbonite fellas. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite angles from the set, because it does kind of give off a more realistic look to it. You can pick it up this way, holding on, making sure to hold on to the doors either side. But yeah, showing you the underside now, there's not an awful lot to say about this other than there is ski tiles there, as you can see, the ski bricks. You know, otherwise it's tiled off well, and you can see that underneath here, you can see there's clips here, 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 and the whole way along it really. But another thing I will mention about these clips is these are the clicky tiles, and these are the kind of smooth tiles. So once you're clicking it open like that, it does kind of stop where you want it to stop. But because it's not those two here as well, it doesn't give off that much resistance. but it does kind of stay where it needs to, which is a nice little feature there, and I appreciate the fact that they added that in. And to be honest, I think that is all of the play features that it has. I don't really think there's much else for me to say. The guns look fantastic on it, and they have, you see the little bit of yellow here is a Technic rod going through to about here maybe, and it's just a really nice addition there. It, you know, keeps it nice and sturdy. These bits won't be falling off or anything, and it's just designed very well. So that's pretty much my opinion on the Mandalorian Razor Crest. I think it's a great play set because it's nice and sturdy. There's a good few things you can do with it, and there is an awful lot of possibilities for imagination, and great play set, and not that difficult to build. From a display point of view, I will say that it is a beautiful looking set. For a scale, we'll kind of, if you can think of any of the 7676 gunship, or the 750, I think it's 23, or one of them, the newer one, it is a little bit smaller than them and a lot more like maneuverable because it doesn't have the wings coming out to about here and just all awkward, but these are also higher up, which kind of makes it a little easier to display. All things considered, I will say it's definitely a beautiful set and probably one of my favourite sets in the Summer Wave, because it's just, it goes together really well, and as you're building it, it just comes together lovely. It really is satisfying to build. And the one bad thing I will say about it is when you're finished building it, that's the end of the build, and you want to keep building it. It's kind of one of those sets. Now, not an awful lot of mad techniques in it, but just a satisfying build. I mean, just trying to look for faults in it, it's hard to find them. It really is. It's hard to find any faults in it. One of the only ones, as I said earlier, this kind of, if you kind of do get tempted to pick it up from the front like this sometimes, and this will fall off like that, but there's really nothing I would have improved on or changed at all, because it just is a very nice build. Again, there's not an awful lot of mad, crazy techniques in it, but it's just satisfying, and it comes together very nicely, and it's like, it built again with Technic the whole way through it to keep it sturdy, and there's just really nothing I can say bad about this set. The only two things I can think of is, number one, whenever you're finished building it, it's over, and that's it, you're finished. I want to build more of it. But it's just because it's a nice build, and that's not really a bad thing. That's just kind of nitpicking at that stage. It's just like, I want to build more. But another bad thing would be the fact that it says, it kind of makes you think there's a lot of spring-loaded shooters with it, and there's not. But again, that's not really a bad thing. It's just trying to nitpick here, and it's not really working well for me, you know. I suppose one more thing is that Din Djarin doesn't actually stay there unless you kind of bend the cape up towards him a little bit to make him fit in there, or take off the cape, and there's no place for his cape. But again, this is really clutching at straws here. It's an amazing set. The design is perfect. The playability is endless, and the swooshability and sturdiness of it is very, very good. I'm delighted with the set. The only thing now I have to do is try and find a place to display it, and for me that might be a bit of a problem, but we'll get there. Thanks a million for watching my video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below if you feel like there's anything that needs to be said. Thanks a million, guys. See you again. Take care.